Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we'll set the Sanhedrin daf Tes Zion. We're going to begin on Tes Vav Amid Beis, about 8 lines from the bottom. Ein Danin B'chol. So this goes back to our extremely long mission at the beginning of Masechta, where there's actually 2 dots on daf Beis Amid Aleph. It says Ein Danin V'los Shevet V'los Navi Sheker V'los Kohen Gadol Ela Al Pi Beis Din Shel Shev Echad. You need to have 71 judges, a court of 71 when it comes to the case of a Kohen Gadol, when it comes to a Navi Sheker, and what we're going to focus now on a Shevet. Now the question the Gemara asks is, Hai Shevet Echata B'mai? What exactly did this entire tribe do that constitutes the requirement of 71 judges? Ilema Shevet Shechilas HaShabbos. We're talking about an entire Shevet that was Mechal Shabbos. So Amar de Poligrachmana ben Yechidim Umarubin. When do we make a distinction between an individual who breaks Shabbos and a multitude? That's only when it comes to idol worship. B'shar mitzvahs mi pligi. So what's the difference? Why would we assume that there should be any difference when it comes to a group of people mimachal Shabbos as opposed to a yachid? The din should be the same. Elwa must be there for b'shevet, has to do with the shevet shehudach. We're talking about avodah zarah, and that we do find a distinction. Says Rashi, chiluk ben yechidim u'merubin. Dir hanidachas, when it comes to a city that worships idols, boy Sanhedrin gedola. That, as we're going to see later on our daf, on next Amud, you do need 71. The yachid need a mechav gimel. But when it comes to an individual who worships idols, which is also a capital offense, you only need 23. As the pasuk says, "Osesas ishahu el sharecha," based in shibasharecha, the base in your gates, which is referring to a base of 23. So we already see that there is a distinction only when it comes to avodah zarah. So therefore, maybe it's the same thing when it comes to a shevet that worships an avodah zarah, the entire tribe. So then you need 71. So remember, back in the Gemara, the bedina. The Rabbim Daininan lay, so that when it comes to the din of the Rabbim we judge, says Rashi, Kedin Nadir Nidachas. Is it that we're saying that a Shevet has the same din as a city, Nidachas, a city that worships idols? Demik Merubin, they're called Merubin, the Dainli B'Sayif, and therefore not only is it with a Sanhedrin Gedoylo, which as we said was 71, but also the death penalty was with a sword. Is that true? Come on, Deloy, if that's the case, that's come on, Loy Kurav Yeshaya. And also look at Yonis and the Sanya. Ad Kamoisin Nidachas. How many people do you need as far as for courts for Ir Nidachas? Miyud ve'ad kuf. Kamoisin Ir Nidachas. How many rather constitutes an Ir Nidachas? Miyud ve'ad kuf. Divri Rabbi Yeshaya. From 10 to 100. Says Rashi. V'tfei memeya Nafki Mataris ear. There's more than 100, it's no longer considered a city. Vahavulut Sibor. That's already considered a different category. An Ir Nidachas has to be only up to 100. But Sibor looks Sivsayev. So, interesting enough, the holy din is by an Ir Nidachas, according to this opinion, is only if it's between 10 and 100. Once you get beyond 100, which is Shevet, an entire tribe is obviously a lot more than 100, so the din shouldn't be with Sayev, so therefore the din should be with Skila. And therefore we shouldn't compare it to an Ir Nidachas, and therefore maybe you don't need 71 either, because you're being done Kiyachin, in which you only have 23. So that's according to his opinion. Rav Yonasan Omer, Mikuf vi'ad ruboy shel shevet. 100 until even the majority of a tribe, but not the whole tribe. They feel Rav Yonasan lo kamer elo rubo of a kuloi. So therefore it's a kasha. According to him, according to everyone, you shouldn't require 71. It's a din of a yachid. Shevet has a din of a yachid, and therefore the punishment should be skila, not saif. Samra masna hacha. Here, what are we talking about as we continue to test Ayman Aleph? Benasi Shevet Shechata Askinan. We're talking about the Nasi of the tribe that sinned. Says Rashi, Achas Mikol Misas Beistin. And it was any of the death penalties. But we're talking about a Nasi. So Milo Yemar Rabbi Ada Barabba, doesn't he says the pasuk Kol Davar Gadol Yavo Yolecha, any great thing, any important great person, Davar Shel Gadol. So Hainami Gadolhu. So just like we're going to learn this pasuk when it comes to a Kohen Gadol, right? The Gemara says, we're going to see later on this Amud, Kol Davar HaGadol Yabu Lecha Davar Shel Gadol. So when it comes to a Kohen Gadol that sins, so there you need 71. So too when it comes to the Nasi, the leader of the Shevet, if he sins, you need 71. That's what he's referring to. That's answer number 1. So Hainami Gadolu. So that's one answer. Aimer Rabbi Lezer Biboyin Al Iskin Achalois. Actually, the whole dispute has to do with land and property. And it's the same din as when Yeshua entered into Eretz Canaan, crossing the Jordan, and we divided up the lands after 70 years of conquest, 70 years of division. There was 70. There's a requirement of a Sanhedrin Gedolah when it comes to the division of the land. If that's the case, then you need to have, like the original time, a box and the Urim V'Tumim are involved in all Yisrael with their Rav Khan, Urim V'Tumim B'chol Yisrael. Now, where could Rav Masna? So rather, we have to go back to our original answer, Rav Masna. Again, we're talking about a Nasi of the Shevet. Okay. Ravino Eimer, maybe a second answer. Oilam B'Shevet Shehudach. We're talking about the entire Shevet. And they all worshipped Avodah Zarah. 1 second. So if the entire Shevet of worshipped Avodah Zarah, we already saw that everyone holds that the punishment would no longer be saif, would be skill. The only time we say this is dafka by Erni Dachas. This is not Erni Dachas. Kashloch Medina Devarim Adachabim Dadin Lay in Afagav de Katalinan B'Yochid Beidin Darabim Dadin Lay. So interesting. We split it up. It's true. The din of Erni Dachas is a requirement that the punishment will be with saif. A yachid is with skila. So this tzibor, the death penalty will be skila, like a yachid. But since it's a tzibor that worship of Avodah Zarah, there's still a requirement of 71. Milam Rav Chama Rav Yosi Rav Aishin, he say the pasuk says so ishahu, so isha hahi v'gaimer isha tomoitz l'sharecha. Only requirement of only 23 is if we're dealing with an individual, mamish. Yata maitzi kol ha'ir kula l'sharecha. Hachanami isha ata maitzi l'sharecha v'yata maitzi kol hashevet kula l'sharecha. So therefore, that's taka the answer. That the only time you only need 23 is dafka an individual. However, when it comes to more than an individual, you need 71, which includes a neri dachas and a tzibor. Again, you're right. When it comes to a shevet, when it comes to a shevet, the din is not like in Erdei Dachas, in that in Dachas the din is saif. Here the din will be skewed. Question 5. Ein donanos the shevet. So b'mayo kimta. So he said there's 2 answers. Deloy nidchu. So you can't say nachalais. Nasi shevet shechatav achas mikol misas beis and myri, or a shevet shehudach. Even though the din is to get skilled kiyachid, however they still have a din of 71. Fine. Okay. Al mi dar shebegamar nidan bebesin shel shevet echad mikor deksiv kol davar hagadol davar shel gadol. So one we said already is the nasi in Yisrael, and I already pointed out soon it will be the kohen gadol. Okay. Let's keep going. Loyas novi sheker. So we said when it comes to a false prophet, it's killed, but you need 71. So minhan mil. So Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina asyam. Hazoda mazakin mamri. We learn out Gzer Shava Yazid from the Zakin Mamri. So what is that? Ma'ul b'shivim echad. When it comes to a Zakin Mamri 71, so Avkan b'shivim echad. Vayhozoda kiksiva b'katolu diksiva. It's talking about death. B'katolu b'esav tlasahu. But you only need 23. El Omer Shlakish Gomer Davar Mahamurasai. We learn out from the rebelling against the Sanhedrin. Hadir Zakin Mamre. V'ligmer Hazad Menavi Hasheker. Why don't you go out straight from there? Davar Gomer Hazad Gomer. So let's look in Rashi. Hana Kazer Shava the Davar Gomerle Haitana Marabi. That he learned out from his teacher. Avahachna Hazad Lud Gomerle Marabi. That he didn't learn from his teacher. The Kavachaymer Adam done Ma'atzma. Very important you cite here. Rashi points out that when it comes to Kavachaymer, you're right, you can figure that out on your own. The Ein Adam done Gzer Shava Atzma. You can't learn a Gzer Shava by yourself. El Im King Kima Marabo. Halach Mosh Messinai. The equal memer krola milsa achriti also can be for something else. The chen halacha rav chas b'Yisrael. So the way that The din is a huge distinction. There's a whole machlokas. How about the other Yigimel Midrash that turn to dress us behen? But certainly when it comes to Kavachimer, the Kavachimer you can do by yourself because it's far. Gzer Shava, Rashi brings down, has to be learned out from your teacher. Therefore, it's not shaykh to have learned that Gzer Shava. Let's go to Rashi before that. Davar Mehar Masai. Ben Navi Bakatoliksiv. It says, actually, let's go above. So Asya Hazad Hazad. See this Rashi's. But Navi Asher Ksiv, Acha Navi Asher Yazid, Vasakin Mamri Ksiv, Ish Asher Yasib Zadain, Mazakin Enu Nerag El Imkin Hamara Alpi based in the Gadol. The rebelliousness was that he spoke against the Sanhedrin. The so when it comes to Zakin Ramre, the Zakin Mamre is punished with only 23 judges. It's true that he needs to rebel against the great Sanhedrin of 71, but when he's actually sentenced to death, you don't need the Sanhedrin Gedalah. He's killed by 23. It's an interesting point. So he said, Davar Bahar Masai, Ben Navi Bakatoliksiv, Asher Yazid La Davar. So therefore, okay, so again, maybe so now you should require 71. Okay, we're not going to get into that. So we saw that Rashi. Okay, so this is an important question. Question 7. Bekama danim misas navi sheker v'zakin mamre. So a navi sheker, we just learned out, you need 71. However, it comes to zakin mamre, only 23. Only 23. Okay, let's keep going. All right. And then we already saw this. V'los kohen gadol ben hanimili hador kohen gadol in 71. So this is the second thing, not just by a nasi shevet, a nasi of a tribe, but also kohen gadol that sins. Anytime he violates something which is one of the arba mitzvahs based in, he must be punished in the presence of 71 judges. Called davar hagadol yavi olecha davar shagadol, which is a kohen gadol certainly. Meisvei for Gemara davar gadol means davar kasha. It just means hard questions. It doesn't mean a big person. It means a big question. Us, so ato aimer davar kasha in a davar shagadol. Maybe it's a person. Shu aimer. Well, the pasuk says also over there in Shemos, Sefer Shemos, Esa davar kasha yavinu Moshe. All the difficult questions go to Moshe. So that's hari davar kasha. Kasha. Who do Amr. That is correct. That's the way the question is. So who da'imir ki haytan the sanya davar gadol davar shel gadol. Not to davar shel gadol in well davar hakasha. Kishoimer davar kasha. When it says something a difficult question, hari davar kasha amr. Hamanam mekaim davar gadol davar shel gadol. So again, it's referring to the kohen gadol or a great person. V'haitana trei kroi lamuli. According to this Tana, I need 2 psukim. Chad letzava ba'alma. One is just a commandment. V'chad l'asiya. And one is how it is actually done. The idachim can say, "Oh gadol, oh kasha, my gadol, my kasha, shema min atarti." It's coming to tell you 2 things. It's coming to tell you not only a difficult question, but also a great person. Bayu Rabbi Eliezer, sharish kohen gadol bekama. When it comes to the ox of a kohen gadol that kills, what's the din? Lemisas balim didei midamin and lay. Odil lemisas balim di almin midamin and lay. Because as we said, kemisas balim kakmisas ashar. So just like a person will be 23, so your ox is 23. Or do we say no, that maybe the kohen gadol is 71, so his ox takin needs also if an ox kills a person 71. So the fact he asked a question about an ox, when it comes to his property, it must be very simple to you. You would think it means all the things which are belonging to the gadol. Says Rashi, you maybe think that's the case when it comes to all dini mominus, which is again davar pashid. Why would you think something else? So the answer is that because maybe the drasha is anything of the kohen gadol, kol davar shel gadol. Kamash one certainly his mamoin you only need 3. However, the kasha still stands when it comes to the kohen gadol's shore whether it needs 71 or 23. Ein moitzin etc. So this has to do with war. So let's get the correct quote from our Mishnah. So our Mishnah said, "Ein moitzin l'milchamas rishus." You don't go out for a optional battle. El alpi based in shel shiva ve'echad, which is mashma of a milchamas rishus, which Rashi says all wars are milchamas rishus, excluding the war of Yeshua when they conquered Eretz Yisrael. Okay, that's what Rashi says. Not sure if everyone agrees to that, but that's what Rashi says. So Mina Hanimili. So how do you know you need 71? The pasuk says, and this is also Gemara in Brachos, the beginning of the Masechta. V'ifnei Elazar HaKohen Yamoid, in front of Elazar HaKohen he stood. Who Zem Melech v'chol b'nei Yisrael itoi. So Zem Meshuach HaMelchama v'chol ha'eda. So who is this? So it's the Meshuach HaMelchama, the one who's anointed for war, which is the Kohen Gadol for war. V'chol ha'eda is a Sanhedrin. So we see that you need a Sanhedrin Gedolah. The Dilma Sanhedrin who dekarmel who Rahman delishailu b'or v'tumim. Maybe all it is that they should ask the Or v'tumim, not that you actually need the Sanhedrin, but maybe it's just that they're there to ask the Or v'tumim. It says Rashi Nishol Muslim Sanhedrin b'or v'tumim. The oil me'inyan Latzei Samachama Yotzin Blurushu Sanhedrin. All you need to do is ask the Or v'tumim. You have to ask the Sanhedrin for it. The Or v'tumim seems good enough. So maybe the whole point is that the Sanhedrin should be there in consultation to the Or v'tumim, but not independently. How is David and Melch know when Chatzais was, when Moshe said Kachatzais? The Gemara over there. So Gemara over there gives a few answers, but the point is that there was maybe one answer is that the reason why he knew is because he had an alarm clock. He had this harp. There was this northern wind that blew on the harp. It made sounds and music by itself. David he would get up at Chatzos Alayla, until the day, till the morning. So he had a meeting with Chachamim. Our master, King, we need food. We're starving. So David said, so help each other. Must be a sa'ari. The kaimitz, which is the kmitza sacrifice of the mincha, when the kain would grab the flour offering in his palm, that's not enough to satiate a lion, which means we don't have enough food among ourselves. And a pit cannot be filled with its own sand, which basically means that if you remove dirt from earth from a pit and then you put it back, so it's not going to fill it up completely. As Rashi says, we don't have enough for ourselves to be able to support those in need. So he said, I have a great idea, then go and fight and conquer land, and that's how we'll be successful. We'll stimulate the economy. Like you find a lot of time, like the Great Depression. How do we get out of the Great Depression? World War II. Of course, milchama is not a good thing, but it's a way, it does stimulate the economy. Miyad Yoatzav Achitophel, he consulted Achitophel, V'nimlochim Sanhedrin. Here's the key line over here. He asked the Sanhedrin if he can be involved in Milchamas Rishos. V'shomer V'tumim. Amr Rav Yosef Mikra. So Rashi says over here again, Nimlochim Sanhedrin Neitlan Rishus Mehen V'hainu Masnisin. So this is a riot to our Mishnah, not necessarily in Psukim. We'll see, maybe there is a pasuk in a second, but it's a proof to our mission that you need a Sanhedrin. So, Omer Rav Yosef Mikra, how do we have a pasuk to substantiate that's exactly what took place as we continue to test Zion Amud Beis? So again, this is almost verbatim from the Gemara in Brachos. After Achitophel ben Yoda. We'll see who he was. Then it says, Vav Yosar, the Sar Seva HaMelech, and the officer, the king, the leader of the king, who was Yoav. So Achitophel, who's Achitophel? Is a Yoyitz. This is in order to receive counsel. This is referring to Achitophel who used to give counsel to the king. Which is also the name of a sefer. Zu Sanhedrin. It says Rashi, because he was like the top leader of the Beis Din. So when you say Ben Yoyada, of course he was just one of 71, but he was like the great one among them. Of Yasar Elor V'Tumim. We say of Yasar, that's referring to the Urim V'Tumim, who's the Kohen Gadol. V'cheinu Omer V'Nya Ben Yoyada. When it came to Ben Yoyada from the Sanhedrin, Ala Kresi Al Plesi, that Ben Yoyada went to the Kresi Plesi, which is the to the Kohen Gadol's Urim V'Tumim. V'lam Nikra Shimon Kresi Plesi. Why is it called that? Kresi Shekars of Devarehan, because his words are cut. Plesi Shmufloin Ma'asein, because their actions are very mufla and unbelievable. To be able to ask a question, all of a sudden certain letters light up. It's mufla, but it's also karis. It's very cut, very clean. It's not lengthy. It just gives like a few letters, and you have to move them around, and hopefully you jumble it correctly. V'yachar kach Sar Tzval Melech Yoyim. They went to Melech Yoyim, who was the Sar Tzval. Rabbi Yitzchak, Rabbi Yitzchak, Bar Abdimi, Mikra. What pasuk substantiates that David Melech used to get up early, etc. We see that it was actually this harp that woke him up, because it says that my honor was woken with a navel of a kinor, with this lyre and harp. I awaken the morning. I am awake before the morning comes. So we cannot add onto the city, onto the Azar, unless we have 71. The pasuk says, so this pasuk in Shemais, so this is referring to the construction of the Mishkan. Everything that is seen regarding the Mishkan and its construction, the Chen Tasu, so should be done. L'daris haboyin, for all future generations, which means, look at Rashi, Ma Mishkan al pi Moshe v'hu b'makom Sanhedrin Gedolah. So it was done through Moshe and the Sanhedrin Gedolah, exactly how it should be built. Al Daris al pi Sanhedrin Gedolah. So if we want to be able to build the Azara, we want to build the Beis Hamikdash, we want to be able to build into Yerushalayim, you need a Sanhedrin. So Masav Rava, Kol Akim Shasa Moshe Mishichasan Mikdashin. Now when it came to all the kalim which Moshe had, putting oil on it is how it became sanctified. That was the process of making a kli, which is choil, into kodesh by anointing it with shemen mishcha. Mikan ve'elech avodasan mechan chasan. Afterwards, we no longer used the shemen mishcha, but rather it was just its use. Once we started using it, says Rashi, Kim Shasu Achrakein Avoidasan Mechan Chasan Misha Shemis Chanchin Ba'avoidim Iskadshin. So from the time that we started using it, that's when it became sanctified. So via my name of V'chein Tasla Daris Aboyin, I understand why do we say that when it comes to the Kalim, that at some point we didn't have to use the Shemen Mishcha. Apparently we should say it's all for future generations. Shani Hasam, the Pasuk says, V'yim Shachem, V'yikadish Osam, that you should sanctify, anoint and sanctify Osam, them. Now that is a miyat, Osam. Osam b'Mashicha, v'lo l'daidis b'Mashicha. Only us, and no, not for future generations. Maybe it's an option. So the pasuk says Asher Yishrasu, that you will serve with them. Asher Yishrasu b'am b'kodesh. Hakasav tolan b'shirus. The pasuk connects it to avoda, and therefore that's all you need to do. Once you use it, that's how you sanctify it. So then why does it say this word? You think future generations need both. So basically it's coming to tell you that only in the time of Moshe, that's how it was sanctified with the Shemen Mishcha. Future generations didn't need both. And it wasn't one or the other, but rather with Shares, it was Beshirus, Hakasatal Beshirus. And therefore that's the reason why once you use it, then it becomes sanctified. Question 8. Ba'men ischadshu kli hamishkan. B'kelim shasam ma'yishim mishicha. B'kan ve'elech avadasam mechan chasan. Okay. Let's stop there for a second. Let's see a question. Okay. No. And yeah. Question TB26. V'nyobin yoyadal kreisvel place yuma kreisu place ma do a nikra kach. Okay. TB 26. TB 26. So nikra veloma nikra shemon kreisiu placey, which is the Urim Turim. Kreisi shikar sandivrain. Placey shmifloim masayan. What did I write? Zeh ha'urim v'tumim, hamilim, kares, kipshutim, clear cut, v'darim v'floim, wondrous. Okay. Weiter. Vein oisin sanhedrois chulu. Okay, let's go back into the Mishnah, because it doesn't quote the whole Mishnah, so let's see it. So we mentioned, again, we're not moisif onto the city or to Azaras, unless they're 71. In oisin sanhedros l'shvatim, we don't make a Sanhedrin for the Shvatim, LLP based in Shiva Echad. You need 71. Okay, so let's see the Gemara on that. So, Minolan, how do we know that's the case? Kedashka b'Moshe. We find by Moshe, the Uki Sanhedrin, so we know that he also was involved in the process of making the Sanhedrin. U'Moshe b'makam Shiva v'chad koi. And he was in the stead of 71. Says Rashi, Be'etzas Yisroi. When it came to Yisro giving the advice, Moshe Haya Shaifet, he was a judge, V'dayan Al Pi Hadibor, V'shokol K'Sanhedrin Gedolah Shebirshlayim. So he was equal to the Sanhedrin, and therefore you needed, when it was appointed, just like he was like 71, so too he was appointing Sanhedrin. So that's what you need, a Sanhedrin to make for the cities in of 23 in your cities. You need a Sanhedrin. Tanabam Menayin Mamidin Shaiftin Israel. How do we know we established and put judges in Yisrael? Talmud Lemer Shaiftin Titain. The pasuk says it explicitly. So Shaiftin Lisumanayin. How do you know you should have like police officers, etc.? Talmud Lemer Shaiftin Titain. So Shaiftin L'chol Shevim Shavit Menayin. How do you should have a Shaifet judges in every tribe? Talmud Lemer Shaiftin Lishvatecha. Says explicitly for your tribes. So far it's pretty obvious, right? Psukim say explicitly. How do you know every city? It says in your gates, which means in your gates, in your cities. You can go to the court of your own tribe. Go to the court of your own tribe. Basically, what it's saying. It's actually a mitzvah to judge your own tribe. So a tribe should judge his own tribe, which it's similar to if you committed a crime in New York, so you have to go to your district and everything like that. So when it comes to an Nidachas, which you already established, a city in which is considered an Nidachas, the punishment is Sayif. So the Mishnah says over here you need 71. And also it says Nidachas cannot be Basfar, cannot be on a bordered town. Sholish. You can't basically destroy 3 cities, but you can do 1 or 2. That's what it says. Okay. So the Gemara. So Amar Rabbi Yosef ever quote a pasuk says, so when it comes to an individual, so you take them out with the misa with 23. Your gates have a Sanhedrin of 23. Not when it comes to a whole city, cannot be used with 23, but rather need 71. Why not a border city? My time and Mikir Bechel. So even though it's logical, but it's also Xeris Akasa. It's logical because you don't want border towns to be barren, which is dangerous. Because your enemies could easier come and attack into your country. But the pasuk says Mikir Becha. It's Xeris Akasa. It has to be in your midst, not on the borders. Well, Sholosh and Nidachas can have 3. But 1 or 2 is okay. Dechsev Achas. Well, Oisen Achas or Sham. 1 or 2 is okay. Dechsev Arecha. It says your cities. Tanaman Achas v'lo Sholosh. You can have 1, but not 3. Achas v'lo Sholosh. Oino Ella Achas v'lo Shtayim. You can't even have 2. Kshu Aimer Arecha. So Hari Shtayim Amar. So you can have 2. Haman Mekayim Achas v'lo Sholosh. So 1 is not 3. you can have one or two, but not three. Zimna Amarav, but based in Echad Hu de Enoisen. So sometimes it was said in the name of Rav that based in Echad, says Rashi, Kolzman Sanhedrin Zukayim, as long as the Sanhedrin is existent, Avol Mesu Elu, if they die, Vinis Manu Acherim Oisen, and you appoint other ones, then you can. So Amarav, but based in Echad Hu de Enoisen, you can't do this with one based in. Habishnayim, but let's say two new members, Ushloy Shabbati Dinim Oisim, 2 or 3 you can. You can never do so. My time of the Rab, Mishum Karcha, that we never allow it because of the issue of Karcha, of making bald spots, and destroying numerous cities. Maybe the whole issue of destroying 3 cities is only if they're real near each other. But if they're in different locations, it's not a big deal. You can never do so because it still looks like bald spots. Bald spot here, bald. It still is not good. Talking about the Rav Yochanan. You cannot have 3 cities of Nidachas. You can have 3 of them. Ayaros Minudachos in Eretz Yisrael. 2 is okay. Doesn't matter even there are 2 different locations. 2 and 2 is not acceptable because 2 and 2 equals 4, which is more than 3, more than 2. Smuch l'sfar, if near a border, if you achas in oisin, never. My taima shemi yishmu nachrim. Now this is interesting because the pasuk says b'kir becha. Here it says shemi yishmu nachrim. They'll hear about it. Yachrivu as Eretz Yisrael. They're going to destroy Eretz Yisrael. And we're taking them with the b'kir becha. Here's a pasuk. So Amar Rachmana Temer b'kir becha Amar Rachmana v'lo min asvar. Rabbi Shimon he the dorish tam dekra. So it's not saying that it's not true, but he's saying why is it mikir becha and not by a border? Because we darshan's time dekra. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Let's maybe send another question. Okay, question 10. Question 10? No. Question 8 we did, and that's it for that. Okay, TA 25. Matai oisin sholosh arini dachos l'chad ma'deimer, matai ein oisin afil achas. Okay, there's 2 answers there. Okay, so this is on test Zion Amud Beis. And let's go slow. Matai ein oisin afil achas, by a border. There's no question that that's the answer. So let's just get that down first. That's TA 25. It's beferish in the Mishnah. So let's just get that down. Ein oisin usmich l'sfar afil achas ein oisin. Okay. Now, how about maybe you could have 3? I thought you could only have 2. So according to one answer is v'shnayim v'shoshim and kaimas oisin. So maybe if it's in different places, which is Reish Lakish, right? Reish Lakish lo shonu ela b'makam echad. Of a b'shnayim v'shoshim kaimas oisin. Which again that's Shita Reish Lakish, not Rabbi Yochanan. Alternatively, which I may not have read so properly, but make sure we get it down now, is b'shnayim v'shoshim bati dinim. If there's multiple bati dinim that paskin this, right? So let's go back over here. It says Zimnin Omer Rav, but based in Echad Hu Ein Oisin. One based in can't make multiple do it. Hashnayim v'shloisha bati dinim oisin. Right? You could make a city of refuge, right? You can make multiple. So maybe one based in can't make it, can't do so. That's why Rashi says over here, Kolzman Sanhedrin Zukaima. So it's possible that it's talking about in a situation where there's no Sanhedrin. Okay, so that's the answer behind that. So there's 2 answers. Either maybe it's allowed if it's multiple but different based-ins, or it's allowed if it's in different locations, but definitely not by the border. Okay, question TB 27. that we do not have. We didn't do. Rabbi Gibber. So let's see. Rabbi Gibber's question. Mahu pshat b'mishnah de'ein donin as a shevet LLP based in shel ayin aleph. What is a shevet? So I wrote the navi of a shevet, davar shel gadol, or I wrote dividing the nachalois, and I wrote only in the havamina. Beautiful. And the third answer, really avodah zarah, we judge barabim and kill biyachid. Beautiful. Okay. Barabim, which means you need 71. Biyachid, which is, I'm just going to write in here, make it a little bit nicer, skila. Okay. Ad kama b'nei adam nasin le'ir hanidachas lafi Rabbi Yeshaya, 10 to 100, lafi Rabbi Yonasan, even up to roiv of the shevet. Man nilmad, I got this wrong, de boy Sanhedrin shel ein alf mishum, de Moshe b'makam ayin alf koi. Got it completely wrong. Huh. Oh, I got one of them wrong. By yichus, you need to be very chashiv. Okay. So this is coming to tell you that, let's just get this down, that this is on Tes Zion Amud Beis, that a Sanhedrin is needed to make a beis din, right? That's what it says over here. Enois and Sanhedrin, Moshe de Uki Sanhedrinois, and Moshe Mamakam Shivim V'chad. Koi. Okay. Isvirle de Karchel in the Nidachas Ma'ye Neser Lefi Svarazu, a bald spot, to destroy two cities in the same area. I wrote to destroy a bordered city. That's not true. The other one is, let me write 2025. Two beis dins doing it. Okay. Al Eizabez Davar Metzinu Begamara Shemoisher Benu Hitu Gorolois Adkan.